we've just started. Willow's asking to be let back inside, so bear with me for a minute. I'm just going to climb over this camera stand and take Willow's lead off and let her back inside. It's hot today, so she doesn't want to be sitting out. That's as far as it'll open, baby. Good girl. She doesn't want to be sitting out in the sun all day. And because I've got the cord, the power cord to the phone, I can't open the door all the way for her to get in, but she got in. So, one of my pegs has come out of my pegboard. So, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do today. I've dragged a whole heap of stuff out here again. A whole heap of stuff. I've got 3 bags and a couple of crates and all sorts of stuff out here. Bought this is some vintage fabric that I've come across. I was going to list some of it, but these pieces in particular seem to have, I don't know if they were end of bolt. See, they've got grubby marks along one edge. I don't know whether to try and wash them or just not bother at all. This one in particular has got all sorts of marks on it. It's a lovely vintage cotton though. Look at it on this side. There's all sorts of marks on this bit. Look there. So I can't on-sell that, so I'll probably hang on to that one. These bits aren't as bad. I don't think they're as old either. They're not big pieces, so I'm just going to set them aside for a moment because I'm going to try something with those later. Got to have my coffee. Oh, hi Jude, how are you? Lovely to see you. I have set up my monitor today so I can sort of see if you're interacting with me. Often I have it up that high that I can't see, but hopefully today I can. And so if you're interacting with me, I should be able to respond this time. In saying that, I don't have my glasses on. I have broken them. I stood on them, dropped them, stepped back from the ironing board to pick them up and stood on them. So, and I just haven't had a chance to go and buy a new pair. I've got to go to the optometrist and have my eyes tested again and get a new script and all that stuff, and I haven't made the time to do that. I haven't made the time to do much of anything lately except for sort through linens. Thank you. Thank you very much. So all my focus, the majority of my focus has been on sorting linens, cleaning them and getting them out to you guys. I'm surprised. I don't think it's Liberty, no. I don't think so. There's no stamps on it anywhere, no markings, and I don't think it's a, let me check, just seeing how wide it is. Yeah, so it's only 90 centimetres wide. So I don't know if you know or not, a lot of the vintage fabrics, especially from I think it was from the 20s to the 50s, were only 90 centimetres. There have been some done since then, up until the 70s, I believe. I might be wrong. I did look this up the other day, and I may have got it mixed up a bit, so forgive me if I have. But from memory, the only ones after the 50s that were manufactured to only 90 centimetres wide were denims or yeah, when I did a reverse image search, it says this fabric's from the 30s, but it just doesn't, it's certainly not feed sack, that's for sure. Well, obviously not, because it's not a feed sack. It's definitely cotton. It's quite fine, really. I don't know if you can see. It's not a sheer fabric, it's just a nice lightweight cotton. It's just a shame it's got all those marks on it. I might give it a soak. I'm a bit hesitant because, I'll tell you why, and I might show you an example. With the linen, if I put them in for a gentle soak, if they've got, yeah, these, I reckon these ones are probably more the 80s. They feel more like 80s fabrics, if that makes sense. They're a bit heavier. They're just like a quilting cotton, but I think going off the style and the weight, I think these two might be more from the 80s, maybe into the early 90s. I don't have much left now. I've gotten rid of a lot of it. I was getting rid of some fabrics for an aged care facility a while back, and they gave me some bolts of fabric, and they were all from a quilt store. Like, it was just the end of bolts. One of them had about 12 meters on it, but the rest of them only had like a couple of meters. And they all had 1993 to 1995 printed in the selvage. So I knew how old they were. And then some of these I try and gauge from that. And I also remember my mother-in-law, my ex-mother-in-law she was a quilter, and she had a lot of fabrics in her stash. And I recognised some, and I remember I was with her when she bought some in the 90s, and I know she had some before that from the 80s, so I can sort of gauge the age of some. Some I have to do a reverse image search on and see if anything comes up. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But getting back to what I was talking about with the soaking, now this piece, to me, these look more like rust stains than foxing to me. Don't know if you can see that. That looks like it might have been a staple that's rusted on that bit. But there's all sorts of orangey, like rust coloured marks on it. And what my issue is, like, there's a little bits of it everywhere on this piece. It's interesting. I thought that was I reckon that might have, even though it's frayed, I reckon that might be end of bolt, because it's the 90s ones that I've got. At the end of bolt, there's often a real grubby edge along it. So possibly, what I'm trying to get at, when I'm trying to clean up these textiles, I'm just moving this box so I can get to this piece I want to show you. I soak nearly every piece if I can. That's pretty much what I use. It's not called that here anymore though. So that's one of my go-tos. I've got a few other techniques I try as well. Washing soda. I bought some blue the other day. I'm going to try that. I don't know how that will go. I know my grandmother used to use that religiously. You remember the blue bags? And of course they're not in bags anymore, but I did find some, and I didn't think you could even get it anymore. But I was gifted this beautiful piece last weekend. A lady that I go and visit had saved this for me, and I think it's absolutely stunning. She was hoping that they were going to throw it out. She works in a second-hand store. And I try and go down every week to visit her to see if there's anything new that I might be able to add to my stash or pass on to you guys, even though I'm trying to get rid of everything. And I have a couple of other friends. Baking soda, yeah, that's another one. Haven't tried it yet. There's quite a few different ways to use the baking soda and the washing soda. Most of them just make a paste and put it on, but I've had a bit of a bad experience with the paste, so I've got another one I've seen mixes it with hydrogen peroxide. I've got to look a bit more into that. I think I need to do some testing on some fabrics before I just jump in and do it. But this beautiful piece, it's beautiful linen, very fine. You can see there's little holes down here. There's a yellow stain here. Now this piece, this is an example of the other half of this table runner was covered in rust stains. And what happens, and it's happened with nearly every piece I've done, I do a gentle soak in the nappy sand, but I think it's called Vanish here now. It's a really good product now, actually. I used to think nappy sand was good, but it seems to have gotten better. I found an old tub of nappy sand downstairs a few weeks ago from at least 15 odd years ago. My ex-husband used to work for Reckitt's and Coleman, so that was our product of choice. We used to get that. And their products used to go into the Aldi soaker as well. It was the exact same one in the Aldi soaker, but it's not anymore, apparently. And I have tried it, it's not the same. But anyway, I gave this piece a lovely gentle soak. This crocheted lace was, this piece, you could barely see the embroidery on it. It was so grubby. But I thought I might have been able to rescue it. Now what I'm trying to get at is, every time I put these pieces in for a gentle soak, where the rust stains are, the fabric just dissolves. I don't know what it is. There must be some chemical reaction with the Vanish and the rust. So this made me cry, but I don't think there was any other way I could have saved it, to be honest. This is the other side that had all the rust on it. So it's just disintegrated. If you can see that, look at that. Incredibly sad. I'm still trying to work out if I can rescue this somehow. I'm thinking, I think this piece is stunning. At first I thought I would chop it and use the good half in a needle book, but now I'm thinking I might try and attach a piece of linen underneath it and gently stitch it on in these places, because I don't know, I just think it's stunning, and I'd like to rescue it. I love it. There's a lot of holes in it, as you can see. It's my favourite colour, and ever since I was a little girl I've wanted some vintage linen with horses on it, or horsey stuff. Even though it's not a horse, it's got the horseshoe, and yeah, I love it. So that one's going to be, I think I'm going to try and restore that one. Well, it's not really restoring it, is it? Adding to it. Oxy Power. I don't think I know that one, the Oxy Power. My sister recommended one from Coles, Ion, or I can't remember the name of it now. It wasn't anywhere near as expensive as the Vanish, and she raved about it. Yeah, she raved about this Coles brand soaker. So I went out to buy some, and mind you, it took me weeks to get hold of a container of it, because every time I went, they were sold out. So I finally got a container and I used it, and I hate it. I don't think, oh yeah, okay. So it's like it's probably a bit like the nappy sand, is it? Maybe not as strong. Yeah, this one from Coles, that, like she said, oh, it removes all that body odour from the boys' soccer gear, it removes all the stains, it's fantastic, I love it. And my sister's pedantic about cleanliness and washing and all that, so like, really, she's like, her house is sparkling. So I thought, oh, it must be a really good product. I didn't like it at all. So I ended up giving it to her. I didn't like it. I didn't think it worked. I didn't like the fragrance. So I've gone back to my trusty old Vanish. And I use quite a few other products as well, because I'll soak it and then I'll wash it and then I press it. I do use on a lot of my products vintage. Yes, Reckitt and Coleman's in Sydney, that's correct. And that's where my ex-husband used to work, at their Sydney facility. He used to live in, I can't remember now. It was well before we met. I can't remember. So he used to work at Reckitt and Coleman, so I knew a little bit about their products, and yeah, when we were together we used those products a lot because they were good products. They still are. So yeah, I do the soak in, and then I wash them in a detergent to get the soaker out, and then I add a fragrance bead to most of them because it smells good when you open your package. I get a lot of comments about how good it smells, so that's good. I like that. It doesn't damage the textiles. And I usually use a vintage starch from the 1950s. Oh, okay. So I've got, when my uncle passed away, the family home of 70 odd years, I think it was, I salvaged, there were 2 boxes of, Reckitt, yeah, okay. There were 2 boxes of vintage starch left, and I've nearly used one already, and I've been on the hunt for some more. Now, I found some on eBay, and I probably should jump on them. They've been relisted a few times now. I know if I don't jump on them, I won't get them, but I feel like they're a little bit too expensive still. They probably aren't. The postage is high. I was a bit surprised at how much their postage is. They're in Australia. So yeah, I use the starch from the 50s to starch the textiles. I don't get the same effect with the modern products, so I don't mix it. I don't starch traditionally. I mix it up. I get a spoonful, mix it with a little bit of cool water just to make a paste, add boiling water, and then it thickens up. It goes a bit like, what would you call it, corn flour? Oh, postage is crazy. Ask the postage to America at the moment. Oh my lord. I can't. I thought our postage was bad. Our postage costs were high. But the postage to America from here is absolutely mental. Absolutely mental. And now that they've added this 10% tax on top of it, it's just crazy. But anyway, what was I talking about? I've totally lost my train of thought now. Oh, goodness me. I've lost it. But anyway, these fabrics, I'm going to try something with them shortly. I've done a little bit more work on a couple of my needle books that I'm working on. I don't know why I work on more than one project at a time. I don't know. I think I get flashes of inspiration, and I think I have to do that before I forget. I'll write it down. If I write it down, I put that piece of paper or that book aside, and that's the last. I don't see it again. I don't know. I don't know what it is. My kids keep telling me lately that I've got ADD or ADHD or something, but I don't know. I'm happy in my own little world at the moment. Goodness me. So yeah, I don't know why I'm working on more than one project at a time. I think I always have. I remember when I was at Guild, I was in the Embroiderers Guild for many years, and we'd have a workshop, or we'd have a travelling tutor come, and we'd work on this project. So what's an example? Jenny Rofe, beautiful Australian quilt designer, many years ago taught me how to do, not just me, I went to a workshop with her at the Guild, taught us how to make dimensional flowers from fabric. And from memory, a lot of the techniques she used were milliners techniques that they used to make flowers from with the grosgrain for the hats and things. Yeah, that's true. Ju's just saying it's good to work on a few projects at a time because it keeps you motivated, and I think that's one of the things for me as well. I don't think if someone says to me, why do you work on more than one project at a time, I don't think I could give you a simple answer. But anyway, yeah, that's true too. And that's another thing I was going to say. When I was teaching art, I used to work at an art studio for quite a few years. I'd get some students come here, I hate this piece, I don't like it, you know, it's horrible. And most of the time when they brought it to me, it wasn't finished. Everyone could see it wasn't finished. Oh gosh, Jude, I reckon I've got at least 20 going at the moment, at least. I've got needle books, vintage needle books I'm working on, and I can't remember if I've got 9 or 13 in Ziploc bags that I'm working on it. And I'm working on a jacket, I'm working on some knitting, I'm working on some spinning, I'm working on, what else? Some embroidery, some counted thread work, goodness gracious. And a friend gave me this beautiful Jacobean embroidery that was half completed the other day. Eventually, it might take me a few years, but I will get it finished eventually. Yeah, so back to Jenny Rofe, she taught us these dimensional flowers, and I've been thinking about them a lot lately, and I'm not sure why. I have put some on one of the needle books I'm working on. So we'd have a travelling tutor come, and they'd teach us these techniques. And I think from memory with Jenny, it was a large piece of fabric, like a twill, a linen twill I think we used, big square, and she taught us how to do this basket weaving. So we made a basket, and then we started to put these flowers coming out of the basket. It was fabulous, I loved it. I found mine recently. I've started the basket, I've got most of the foundation created, and I think I've done 4 or 5 flowers, and that's it, and a couple of leaves. That's as far as I've gotten. And this class would have happened 30 years ago. So I came across that recently, and so what I was trying to say, the tutor would come, we'd start the project, but then a fortnight later we'd have a different tutor come, so it would be a different project. So if we weren't finished on that project that we were doing, it would be set aside, and then we'd pick up the new one. So then, you know, you'd always have all these different projects on the go. So I don't know if that's where my multiple projects has come from originally, I don't know. So this one's a bit of a chunky monkey. I've used a hand-dyed quilting cotton for this guy, and it's ended up a bit thicker than I would have liked, but so far I'm quite happy with it. I've used vintage, this is a vintage I've gone blank. The stuff they used to make the bias binding out of, it was just on the tip of my tongue and I've lost it. Cotton lawn, maybe, that sort of thing. It's not lawn, it's something else, but that's what this is from my grandma's. This is just a quilting cotton. So I've tried to make these little dimensional flowers for this one. I don't know what possessed me to do it. I just sat down one night and okay, thank you, Jude. Don't know what possessed me to do these flowers, but I have. So this is, I think I showed this in the last video. I was going to say it was last week. I don't know if I think it might have been longer ago than that. So I've attached these flowers. Don't know what possessed me to do it. Sometimes, might sound silly, but sometimes the fabrics sort of tell me what they want. They sort of, I don't know. When I pick it up and start, so I've done all this hand quilting. I don't know what I'm going to do usually when I pick them up. And I found for me, if I start with the cover, the rest of it just sort of falls into place. So I was explaining last time that this is still full of tacking or basting threads. I don't know if you can see, there's blue threads all over this, holding it together. And then I've done I don't like to call it a running stitch because I don't really do it as a traditional running stitch. I don't get the needle, and how can I explain? Yeah, it does. The fabric sort of tells you what it wants sometimes. Okay, here's a needle. What I'm trying to say is a lot of people will do their running stitch like this sort of thing. Especially when they're doing these sort of quilted covers, or it's a bit hard in the bowls, the textile bowls. You sort of have to do this in some places because, especially when you get to the lining, but a lot of people will do their running stitch like this, pull it through and your thread's in. I've found that when you do that, the thread will lay flat into the fabric, and I mean, you know it's there, you can feel it, but it sort of blends in with the fabric. So what I do, silly me, you have to do it the hardest way. I put my needle through, pull the thread through, and then come up and do every single individual stitch in these covers like that, because when I do it like that, like a stab stitch really, I can feel the stitches sitting on top of the... Is this going to work, or is it going to drop all the way down? I can feel the stitches sitting on top of the fabric, and I like that texture. So that's how I do it. Very laborious and time consuming. And so, as I said, this piece now has all these little tacking stitches in it because I can't see the screen down there, because I have tacked in a lining. And so this is a vintage cotton. This one was believed to have been from the 30s or 40s possibly. I don't have much of that. I've been hoarding that one, and the tiny little bit I've got left, it's not much bigger than this piece I've used, has marks on it as well. But when I started to build this needle book originally, I had pulled all these rusty colours, earthy colours, and I didn't like it, so I've decided to pick up these blues and pinks, hence the blue lining on the inside. Then I've put, now I haven't used this kind of lace before, but I came across this vintage lace. It's like a, it's not really a Swiss voile, it's more of a, I don't know, possibly from the 70s or 80s sort of thing. Sheer, you can see the fabric through it, which I liked because I want to show off this fabric. It's a pretty vintage fabric. I don't normally do the pockets this deep, but I also wanted to show off the full piece of embroidery on the lace. So this one's going to have really nice deep pockets in the cover. So that's why all those tacking stitches are in there. I like to put a crocheted edge, I sandwich it in between here. So if I rescue a piece of crocheted edging from an old doily or something, or a runner or tablecloth, whatever, I will then tack that into there and then stitch it all in one go. So this one, you can see this is a piece of rescued lace from, I don't know where this piece came from, a friend gave me this. It had already been cut off the linen, and some parts were cut. Yeah, the Kantha, and the Japanese one, the Shishiko. I was reading about the Shishiko a while ago. I need to look it up again. This Japanese man was explaining that Shishiko is not actually a stitch. It's not actually a technique. It's a lifestyle. It's a, how do you explain it? It's like a technique that's been passed down through generations, and it's a way of living, so to speak. And it's he goes on to explain that saying that we do sashiko is very offensive. So sometimes I might say a sashiko-like stitch, but I try to avoid that, and that's another reason why I've switched over to this different method. Yeah, cultural appropriation, I think it's called. So I'm trying to be aware of that, and yeah, I don't know what else to say on that subject. I've lost my train of thought now. I need to find the guy. He's on Instagram. He's probably on an account that I haven't looked at for a while. Incredibly informative, his videos, his reels. But I haven't looked for at least 18 months. Yeah, I can't remember what his name is. I'll try and find him, because the information he gives is incredible. It's really good, really interesting. And I suppose it would, for that matter, apply to the Canthor stitch as well. And oh, you've followed him, you know who I'm talking about. I don't remember his name or his account, unfortunately. So yeah, I'm just trying really hard to be aware of that. Anyway, so back to this piece. You can see with this one I can't open it because I've tacked it all down so finely now, because this lace, in a lot of sections, whoever had cut it off had cut it all the way up to the eyelets in some spots. So I've very carefully tacked this in with a million stitches in between the layers, and then I come along and do a blanket stitch all the way around to hold it all together, to hold the front, the lace and the lining and the lining pocket. Now I've tacked the lace back on this one because I don't want to stitch through it. I just want to stitch the lining down, and then I'll untack it and let the lace sit back on the top. So this is the other one. So I've basted that partial vintage tray cloth into it. Now the other part of this had holes in it and some rust, so I've decided to put that in there. Someone's done all that work. So these will form the pockets. And this is a beautiful Fern Textiles fabric from, I think they're based in Melbourne. I love their fabrics. I'd like to get some more actually. I've been out of the quilting business for many years now. I used to work in a quilt store. I didn't own it. It wasn't my business, but I used to teach quilting and work in the quilt store and do a lot of the, operated the Gamel, the long arm quilting machine. And so I used to be up with all the fabric brands and the fabrics and whatnot, but it's been many years. So I've only recently discovered these Fern Textiles, and I think they're absolutely gorgeous. They're a quilting cotton, but they're slightly heavier weight, I guess you'd say. They're just a really beautiful quality fabric. So yes, that's where I'm up to with those. I'm thinking I will unstitch this, to be honest, because I don't like how messy these stitches are on the back. You can see I've drawn in some lines here because when I'm stitching, doing the blanket stitch through the front, and of course you'd normally sort of go in like this and come back up, and there's your blanket stitch. However, when doing it this way, it's not that simple. I've got to put my needle in the front and then go and have a look at the back and see it's coming quite a bit below that line, 2 or 3 mil below it, and I want it on that line. So I might have to actually relocate that line because they're all coming down quite low. It's supposed to be a 1/4 inch from the eyelets here. So it takes me a ridiculous amount of time to do this blanket stitch edging around these. Did I bring out the one I've already done? I'll have a look if I've got it here. Yeah, I'm going to unpick that, what's it called? Reverse stitch that because I'm not happy with how untidy it is. I do have another one that I have actually finished here somewhere. Finished the edge anyway, finished the cover anyway. I've still got to fill it. Oh my goodness me, I've got so much stuff out here, it's ridiculous. I am sitting out on my front veranda because it's a lovely day, and this is where I do most of my filming anyway. So this is the one I think I've finished the cover. I've inserted the crochet edging in between the 2 layers, and I've done the blanket stitch all the way around. Now it is a little bit untidy, but it's going to open up with use anyway. I think I'm quite happy with this one, even though there's some gaps in between. I'm quite happy. It's quite consistent. I haven't gone below the line anywhere. The inside's not too untidy. It's not bad, that one. So that's if you haven't guessed, that's a vintage piece of vintage cutter quilt, and I got that from this poor holder it's got no holding strength anymore. This piece of cutter quilt I got from Beckett Sew Bee. So that cover's done. I've got the pockets in there. You can see the basting stitch is still on it, and I'll leave that until I've put the whole needle book together, because that way by the time I do the spine, I usually do sorry I didn't see that. It's a bit frustrating. The comments come up and within, I don't know, so many seconds they're gone. So if I'm not watching the screen, I miss them. So yeah, this one, vintage cutter quilt, I assume this is from America. I think Beck sources most of hers from there. I might be wrong, but for some reason I had that impression. This is the largest piece I have, and I've got 2 other smaller pieces inside that I haven't even started yet. And I've got 3 vintage kimono needle books that I've started that I bought from Beck as well. I think I've left those all inside. This piece here is a vintage napkin that I got from my cousin, and this is just a piece of vintage lace that was on top of along the edge of a cot quilt, a vintage cot quilt from the 70s, 60s or 70s. So that bit's ready to go. All I've got to do is work out what I'm going to put in it. I've pulled a few bits here. I've shown this so many times. Regular watchers are probably sick of seeing it now. I'd want to I don't have any doctor's flannel cut. So I think I might even do that first, because that's a bit cute, isn't it? There's a piece of vintage, not vintage, of wool felt that I might put there. Now, I like to do an edge around the felt and the blanketing. I don't like to just leave it raw like that. I will probably do a blanket stitch or something around it, and don't know if I'm going to add anything. I might add some embroidery. I don't know yet. So I've pulled that. I think that will be the next part on this one. A piece of reclaimed or rescued cross stitch. on linen. I don't know how I'm going to pull this piece together. Here is now this, I think I was thinking up here like this and make it a pocket. It's got the colours run, so it's got some shadowing on the other half. So I was thinking of maybe putting that in. I'll need something, however. I suppose I could attach it to that felt. If I attach it to the felt on this side and leave that side open for pins and needles and that side, that bit open, I could do that. There's one option for that. And then I've got, I think I want something blue next. Got a few, oh look at that, that's from Nairi, isn't it gorgeous? I need to put this piece together. It's just been hanging around here. Oh, I like that. It's got that blue trim on it. Maybe I could go, oh this is lovely. Maybe I could sort of fold it like this somehow and turn those into pockets as well. I'd like to utilise that edge. See that beautiful hand-stitched edge on this? How deep can I go? I don't want to have to cut it. It's going to be too big. Those pockets will be massively deep. Is it going to work? That might actually work. They're going to be very deep, but potentially we could insert this. I could go, well, they're going to be very deep, aren't they? Let's see. Try and fold this. Right, that's not very square. Is it the napkin or is it my wonky eye? Although, what does Beck say? Embrace the wonk. Embrace the wonk. That's a bit better. I think it was my wonky eye. That looks better, doesn't it? Now, if I fold this in half, set it in around here. So I've got to find the middle of the book now. I'll take these bits out so I can find. So what I will do is find the middle of the book, which is about there, and I will attach that piece. I won't cut that off because that can turn into a little bit that I can attach something like this to. Look at that. Woohoo! I like that. Now let's go back. Let's put this back together a bit. I'm excited about this. This is the first time I've actually envisaged how to piece this together. Okay, so we've got the felt. I might stitch this bit to the felt here. Okay, then we'll insert this piece. I'm sorry guys if you're commenting. I've missed them. I'm too engrossed in my little book here. Okay, I can attach those there. So this will open like so. Look how deep those pockets are. Okay. Then what can we do? That will be like that. Then I've got, maybe I should put, I've got a piece of wool blanket in here. That bit can probably go there. Then I've got, aren't they gorgeous? They're from Beck too, they're from So Be. I went in, would have been in June, early June, to buy some pieces for my daughter for her birthday to send to her. And I ended up buying half of the pieces for myself. This was one of them. Aren't they beautiful? I believe they're all feed sack from the 20s and 30s. Absolutely, I love these. I reckon if all I could get in my collection was these vintage feed sack fabrics, I'd be a happy camper. I love them. I've got a jar of them that I've collected from Beck and Nairi as well. And I've got a pouch of them here. I've got little bits everywhere that I experiment with. So some of these are from Nairi. These are all from Nairi, I think. Oh, that one's a Beck one. Look at these ones. Look at those, aren't they beautiful? They're from Nairi. They're all from Nairi. They're Beck ones. They're Beck ones. They're Beck ones. I don't know how I remember, I don't know. They're Nairi ones, they're Beck ones, and they're Nairi ones. So those ones are from Beck, it's So Be. And the rest of these are from Nairi. And then I've got a jar inside with more, and I've got some tucked into some projects I'm doing. I've got bits everywhere. So there's that. So then we've got that wool. I wanted to put this, I don't know now, I wanted to put this damask napkin in, but I don't want blue against blue, I don't think. Look, isn't it beautiful? What would that be, rayon maybe? It's very pretty. I've only got the one. Did you get your blankets from Beck's? No, I've had a lot of these blankets for years, and I sourced them from, also I've had, going through my stash of crap, I mean it's not crap, but it's just a bloody mess at the moment. Yeah, damask, it's beautiful, isn't it? It's not linen, this one. I think it's more of a rayon. It's very pretty. A lot of my blankets I've had stashed for years downstairs. I've been slowly cleaning them. Some of them, however, are deteriorating. When I wash them, they're sort of tearing a bit. So I don't know what to do with those. They're still usable pieces, but I don't know if I can really sell them to people. I suppose I could say they're, I don't know. I just don't know. I've got a lot. I've got a lot that are really good as well. Like this piece is really good. I'm slowly cutting them to different sizes. I've got a lot of wool suiting as well that I use. So the wool suiting, as you're probably aware, is a lot thinner than the blanketing, and I think it's brilliant for the needle books. I haven't got any here right now, I don't think. But I've started making up packs of the wool. If you guys want to buy any, I'm hoping to get to that this weekend. I'm also hoping to put some more stitch kits together. I've got a custom one that I'm doing with a piece of Sanderson, vintage Sanderson. So I'm working on that for a lady at the moment, and I'm hoping to get some wool packages done this weekend. I missed that, sorry. It flashed up before I could read it. So yeah, I'm hoping to get some done this weekend for you guys. I reckon I could put this in somehow. I don't know how yet. I've got this lovely piece of vintage fabric here. There's a piece. I'd like to put another piece of this in from the cover to sort of tie it all in. This is pretty much all I've got left. So maybe I could do that as a pocket. This one's going to be another chunky monkey. So potentially I could sort of go, you know, like that's a bit wonky. I'll have to straighten that up. Thank you. And then I've got all these. I wanted to try and get these in as well, but I don't think they're all going to fit in it. So I've pulled this one to put in it. I've pulled this one to put in it. I've got, this is the bits that I've attached to the front, so I want to continue these. You know, I might stitch some onto the wool, sort of tie it all together. And I'd also pulled this bit to put in it. This bit might have to go in because it's got the blue and the pink, and it's sort of, oh, wrong one. I'm thinking of the other one. This one might have to go into the other one actually. I'll pull that out. So this is where I'm getting stuck. I get to, well actually this is the furthest I've gotten with this one so far. Decisions, it's very thick. Let's see if it closes. There's a big hump in that spine there, and I don't know why. What is that? Oh, that's what the big hump is, that flower. Okay. So let's see if she closes. Oh, it works, it closes. That might work. It's not as chunky as I thought it would be. I'm going to have some puffs hanging out unless I take a row off. Might have to do that. That might work. Okay, so that's, I'm a bit excited about that one. That's sort of gotten me somewhere. Let's set that aside. My coffee's gone cold now. There's more pieces here I'd pulled for that. This beautiful little linen doily. It might still go in. Look at this vintage patch. I bought this a couple of months ago at the op shop. I think it was 20 cents or something. It's believed to be from the 20s. It's very delicate. It looks like it's all, oh, it's machine stitched. Absolutely gorgeous. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I'd like to put that in one of them. This is and again, the regulars would have seen these before and they're probably sick of them. Little compact pouch that I got from my cousin that I was going to stitch in as a pocket. Look at this hanky. Isn't it gorgeous? I think that one was from my cousin too. I can't remember now. I don't usually forget where the pieces come from, but I can't really. It looks like it needs another soak. That yellow stain's just reappeared recently. So I've got that beautiful piece, and this is a hanky as well. It's very fine. Isn't it beautiful? It's not very big, but I was hoping to get, I don't know if they'll go in. I was originally hoping to keep that cut a quilt piece that I just showed you, but I've had so many people asking about it. I haven't decided yet. I honestly haven't decided what I'm going to do with it. I haven't kept any of my pieces for so long because I ended up with so much stuff it was ridiculous. But now I've hardly got anything because I've either gifted them or sold them. So that's that. I'm getting off track again, aren't I? I'll put all that back in this bag. Those bits were with it. Where's the other one? The yellow one was with it. So they were all with that. That cut a quilt needle book all goes in there for now to keep it all together. Right, that's that one. Then I've got this is mental, this one. These are the bits I've pulled for this one. And this is ridiculous. So I've got some, and I'm going to change my mind about a lot of these. Look at that. Yeah, it's probably more of a fabric journal, but they're inspired by the vintage needle books that Beck does. So I did want to put some of this Robin Pandolph in this, and then I've also got this beautiful vintage cotton from the 70s. So I thought some of that might work in it. I've got so many things for this one though. This is a piece of reclaimed tablecloth that my friend gave me. It was already chopped up, so I might be able to use some of that, and I might still yet reclaim this crocheted edge to put around this one. I don't know yet. I still haven't decided. What else is in here? There's that piece of the blue I've got left that's in this one. I've pulled this tray cloth. I'm not convinced about this one yet, but it has beautiful fine embroidery on it. I've pulled this one, which is absolutely stunning, but yes, have not decided yet. I've got this little basket liner, and I thought that somehow would look fabulous in there. I don't know how yet. Maybe as a pocket on a page. I've got this machine embroidered one. I've pulled, this was one of the original pieces I pulled to put in it, but now I'm not. Yeah, it's not too bad actually. It might still go in. Because I don't want to keep it all yellows, that mustardy colour. So there's some blue on there. This piece was given to me. Someone had already embroidered it and there was no edge on it, so I've crocheted this edge on it. I tried to pull, I didn't want to just do a cream edge. A lot of the pieces I get with coloured edges I just love. So I've had this vintage variegated crochet cotton in my stash, and I just did a little, you know, shell edge around it, and I pulled my colour inspiration from this stitched border here. So yeah, I've got that, could potentially go in it. And then this poor old thing that's all ratty and tatty and falling apart, I don't know whether I'll salvage one of these roses to put in it somewhere, because that looks pretty good, doesn't it? That's another option for this one. I've got a salvaged cross stitch that could work in here. I've got this piece of salvaged embroidery that could work in it as well. See, this could go in as a pocket potentially, or should I keep that to line the inside of another one? I don't know yet. So I've got that bit in there. Look, the colours, how good. I just noticed how well do those colours match. Look at those greens. That's very cool. And look at the butterfly, matches that quite well. Well, how about that? And the blues, look at that. Okay, so that, I've got that bit. These bits, they do match, don't they? I didn't realise, when I usually pull all these together inside, and the lighting inside is absolute crap. So when I come out here, I often go, oh, that doesn't work. Oh, that's no good. So I went to, weeks and weeks ago, one of the local op shops I go to had a vintage sale. They collected all these pieces and did all this advertising, built it all up. They were going to have this vintage sale this weekend. So I went down and I got myself a couple of blankets actually, and some mystery packs of textiles. Most of those have already been moved on, but these were already cut and they were tied. The blankets were sort of folded up. They had a piece of like jersey, t-shirt material wrapped around them to tie them up. And then these were just tied on the top in a knot, like a bow on them. So they were on top of the blankets that I got. So I've saved them, and I've put this in here because I thought they could even go in as either a pocket in the center or a page. That could make a page, that piece. So that's gone in there, and this is the other piece. It's not as big, but there's still quite a bit of lovely filet lace there that could be utilised. What else? Let's see, I've pulled so many pieces for this one, it's ridiculous. I've got this piece as an option that could go in. And then this is a massive, well, for me, a massive, like, it's probably a table centre. I call it a tray mat. It's got a lot of stains on it. I don't know if that could be utilised in it somehow. I wish these motorbikes had sod off. I've got this chunky, I don't think, it's sort of like it's more of a yellow, this blanket in, but I've noticed this bit has hairs in it. Now this is the problem I found too. I go to a lot of trouble to keep my dog's hair off the wool. All my wool's wrapped up, all my blankets, and I thought that I've been getting frustrated that her hair's on everything, and I thought maybe it's transferring from my clothing. But I realised the other day that it's not really hers. Most of it's not. It's already come in the blanket. So even though I've laundered it, I give these a good wash and clean them and deodorise them, some of them still have hairs in them, and a lot of times I don't see them inside. So if I pack a bundle inside, I'm going to have to bring them out and check them before I sell them on. So anyway, I pulled that piece potentially as a wool page in this one. The colours go well. I've pulled this little, I don't know what I will do with that, but I've pulled that as an option that might work in it. I've got this reclaimed piece that could potentially work in it with the flower match. And then I've just got some little bits. These colours just work well. This is something I was working on years ago, and I just left it at that. And I think from memory it was, is it a cathedral window? So I fold these over. They're not very square. I actually need to insert a contrast fabric in there, like, we'll just use this for an example. It's too big. Let's see if it'll work. So these get stitched down like so, just where the points are really. And then it's hard to hold it. And then these edges get rolled back and stitched down, just exposing the fabric underneath. So I found that bit that I was fiddling with years ago, and I thought I might put a pretty fabric in there, pull that together and use that as a detail in that needle book, if that all makes sense. Little bits of that cover fabric left, that Tilda. This is a bit of, might be a Mum and Son. I bought a scrap pack from Beck, over 12 months ago for my birthday last year. A piece of beautiful hand-dyed wool that I've had for years, and again, you could turn it into a cathedral window. Yeah, that's what I think it was, a cathedral window square. I used to do them years ago. So another piece of beautiful hand-dyed wool that I've had for many years. I've got a bit of this in green as well. I had large amounts of this, and I've used it to make all sorts of stuff over the years, but This actually came from the lady who used to own the quilt shop I worked for, but when I worked there was none of this left then. She didn't sell it any longer. But I can see, as you can see me picking, I can see little hairs on it. So look at that side. So I've got a bit of that might go in. I've got this vintage hanky in the same colours. A little bit of Liberty. I don't know why I pulled that. Another piece of wool blanketing. Just little bits and pieces. Another flower to stitch in. That's actually for that blue one. Little crocheted motif, and I've left it inside, I think. I've actually pulled, I wonder where that is. I actually cut a piece of this mohair large enough to put in it, and I had it so it was large enough to fit though, the piece I've cut, but I must have left it inside. And I still don't know if I'm going to do it, but I was thinking about having the fringing hang out. I don't know yet. I don't know. So I've got that in there. Yeah, so as I said, there's a ridiculous amount of pieces pulled for this one. There's also got this vintage green that I made the leaves out of. I've got zippers in here. I've pulled some threads that might work in it. These vintage zippers, because I'd like to put a zippered pouch in them all as well. I've got to fit that in somehow. And this vintage lace, I mean this is from the 90s, the 80s or 90s, this one. Yeah, don't know. So all those pieces at the moment are in that bag with that one. Let's see if I can get it all back in. Oh, there's also a bit of vintage trim from the 70s. I'll show you that in a minute. I knew it wouldn't go back in. Here we go. In you go, little... In. Got it, okay. So, I'll put this bit of lace in there. Try and keep it all together. So I've also got this, and I don't know if it'll go in or not. Look at this vintage trim. It might even be older than the 70s. There's some age, quite a few age marks on it. It's like a, and I've got it in a darker blue as well, but I think this one just goes well with this needle book. So I don't know where I'll use it, but I've put that there thinking that I might use that in this needle book as well. Yeah, I just keep pulling pieces for this one. So there's that one. Goodness gracious. Right, next one. And this is, oh, this isn't what I'd planned on showing you today. This is not where I was headed. Gone right off track. Here we go. Here's the bits for this one. Now this one's got something a bit special in it. I just dropped my puffs for this one. This one, oh look, all my puffs are squished in there. It's all squished up now. Bugger. Where are we? Okay. Crikey, I've got bits everywhere. Okay, this book. So, I've got, this is a piece of the vintage wool suiting I was talking about. And I'm still undecided on this because I'm not sure of the colour. I'm not, oh, that looks good with that though, doesn't it? I don't mind that actually. Maybe that's why I pulled it. Okay, so this one's a big chunky one, very chunky. So So I've got that wool page. I've got this lace from my cousin. Now I had originally cut around all the petals, but they hung out all the way around and it just looked untidy. So I've sort of squared it off, and I think I'll put a vintage bias around that. And I've got a bag full of vintage bias, and I'm going to have to try and start getting rid of some, because honestly I must have at least 80, I reckon, at least. But I've got this lovely, it's probably the wrong colour, it might be too harsh. I've got this vintage bias I've been hanging on to for years, and I'm thinking I might use it on this one. It's here somewhere, I saw it in this bag. Here we go. So I've got this, look at, isn't that fabulous? It's got age marks on it. It's got a pin in it. It's probably got rust marks all through it. So I was thinking of using this vintage bias around this lace. I think it's black. I don't think it's navy. Let's hold it against this black lid. Yeah, it looks pretty black to me. That's the reason why I'm not sure if it'll work. So I've got all those bias tapes inside, and I could match a colour, I reckon. But I don't know whether I want to put a stripe or a check on it. So I might either buy one or make one. I'm not sure yet. But anyway, I've got that option that I've been thinking about. Now, I think I'm going to swap this page. This is a bit of wool blanketing. It's quite thick and fluffy. I think I might swap it out for a piece of doctor's flannel just to try and slim down the thickness of this book a bit. It's a bit chunky. Then I've got a piece of vintage Sanderson linen, a piece of wool felt, and then I've got this vintage linen napkin that I've folded into a pocket. Got another napkin, and I think I will line this with a fabric so we don't see the back of this. I'll line that with something. Now I'm not sure about this. I've got this doily that could go in it somewhere. Maybe I could sort of stitch that on the back of there potentially, and that could even turn into a pocket, couldn't it? So that's an option for that one. Then I've got this lovely doily that I was hoping to stitch into it. I've got this one. Oh, there's so much here. Now that's a rescued bit of embroidery. This is the piece I'm saying is a special piece. I've done all this work on this piece. I ended up cutting it down a lot smaller than I thought I would. But this is going to be a zippered pouch. So I've appliqued this. It was the same as this, and now that I've done all this work around it, you lose the birds, which is a bit of a shame. It's not what I wanted. So it was the other side of this tray cloth, and the crochet around the edges from the same tray cloth. So I've done all this like cantha-like stitch along here with these are fabrics from Beck. We've got Liberty, we've got Mum and Son, bit of vintage cotton here, Liberty, Mum and Son again, and another bit of Liberty. Then I've done all this needle weaving with wool. These ones up here, this really fine stuff is done with 2-ply crewel. And then I bought some beautiful hand-dyed wool from Little Woolly, and I've used that to fill in this space here. Then I've appliqued more reclaimed vintage embroidery around here, and I've left a bit of space. I thought it needed to breathe a bit, and I think this sort of draws your eye to the birds then, I hope. And I've done a bit more needle weaving down here to fill in this. Now I've also attached a piece of, this is a petite pan up here. And by the time I put the zipper in, I don't think you're going to see a lot of that, but I just wanted that neon to pop when I insert the zipper, which is, I can't find. I've got a zipper. I thought I had a pink one for that. I need to buy more of these zips from Beck because I just love them. So I'm going to insert a neon zipper up here, and you'll probably just see, you know, a little bit of that pink pop, and I've got little bits here and there, a bit of neon in that Liberty there. And then I think I'm going to back that pouch with this piece of Tilda. Even though, yeah, because I want to carry it, that's from the cover. So I think I'll back it with that. Don't know what I'm going to line it with yet. So, and then I've got this flap here from that, because I don't like to cut them off. I think it's a bit of a shame to waste it. So with this flap from that blue napkin, I was hoping to do something like, I'm sure I had one here. Maybe I didn't. Or maybe I was going to do, look at all these doilies I've pulled for this one. Tray cloths. Now, I haven't got puffs for this one in like a big sheet like the last one. So I'm thinking maybe I was going to do I want to get this one in there. Look at that. I love that one. So what I'm thinking now is one of these would have been destined. I don't know how I'm going to get this in. I think this piece was that in a kit from Beck? I can't remember now. I'm going to have to go back and have a look. I want to get this in somehow. This was in a kit from Beck, I'm sure. It's got my eyelashes and things on it. So I don't know whether I'll attach that doily to that bit of fabric as a page. I've got this one too. I don't like the plain one as much. That could be more of a pocket on something. Another little sandwich tray cloth that works in quite well. What's this one? I mean, that might work. I don't mind that next to that. That's not bad, is it? That sort of looks good next to that, I think. So that one might go on there. Yeah, I don't mind that. Then I'll have to do something on the back because I don't like that stitch exposed. So I could sandwich something else there, whether I do a vintage fabric or another. I don't think I like that. Oh, that does work though. See, that looks good against that linen. So potentially that might be an option, and if I do it, I could potentially do that in a way that could be another pouch or another pocket. We're getting a bit, going over to one side a bit here. There's that other side of that blue, and I think I was planning on putting some puffs along this somehow. Maybe. Where do we go with that? Sanderson again. Now this piece, I want to line that with something as well, so we're not seeing the back of that. That's the selvage, so I'm going to make that a pocket. I'll probably put a seam down here. Then we've got that bit's going to be swapped out for the doctor's flannel. I've got some beautiful... I don't know if this will happen or not. I don't know what I'm going to put on there yet. That bit of lace again. The wool suiting, and I've done that so we can do a pocket on that. Now, I just had a thought. I could put something like... What have I got under here? I've got vintage ribbons and rickracks and things under here. Don't like that green. Oh, maybe that. Maybe I could put a bit of that along that edge there. Look at that. I only got that one recently in a mystery pack, like a treasure pack from the op shop. I love that. So maybe I could put a bit of that along there, hey? Look at that. Oh, I like that. That could work. What do you reckon? Oh, I don't mind that. Okay, there's an option for that one. I've also got it's getting warm out here. I've also got this beautiful vintage gimp. This is quite old. Where's the end of it? Here's a bit. So I could potentially put that along there. I don't mind that either. Bit of vintage gimp. And I've also got, oops, get in there. There you go. In you get. Yeah, you want to stay in there nice and safe. I've just spotted another one. The way I store some of these, goodness me. Now this one's wrapped around an old medicine bottle. But that's another vintage ribbon. That one on the end there. That could go on that edge. It's got the pink and the blue. So that's another option. And I've got a new one inside. Where did I put that? I've also got, I don't have fabric tape measures, but this is a piece of ribbon. And I've got another one inside that I got the other day that's like a twill colour with the numbers on it as well. So this one I think I bought back in the 90s. Don't have much of it left. Don't mind that one. Right. So there's some options there. I apologise if you guys have been interacting. I've missed it all. I've got some rickracks. Got some satin ribbons. Got another bit of gimp over here that could work. That one there, I don't mind that one. This is another option. Bit of old tape, look at that. Someone would love that bit to put in their journal. I would have if I was still journaling. Okay, let's have a look at this. Where's the end? Yeah, look where the tape was. Look at the colour of it. I love that. So that, although I love it on there, I don't like it against that stark white lace. This is looking much better. So that gimp's out, even though it's a lovely vintage colour. I don't like it against the lace. I'm sliding off my stool. I'm leaning forward to show you guys, and I'm sliding off my stool. Hang on, I've got to get up again, move this drawer. Oh, crikey. Now, where's that one? Here's another one I got the other day. I think this is quite oldish, at least from the 80s or 70s. Piece of, I don't think it's the right colour. Piece of ribbon. I don't like it as much as that. It's still nice though. Okay, so there's some options there anyway. I've got more. I think that'll do for now. That's given me a start. So that page with the pocket, and then we come to this back one. But as I said, I've also pulled these pieces. They're not going to all go in because this poor guy is so chunky. Some of these are going to be saved for something else, I think. Oh, I've got so many sandwich tray cloths pulled for this one, I don't know. I do have this beautiful, look how fine that embroidery is. This is a piece from Nairi. So that could potentially go in it. That could even go in that last one too, the mustard coloured one. So could that. Beautiful linen, look at that. And then I've pulled these for this one as well, but I don't think these will go in. I'd like to get that one in it. But now I'm questioning the yellow, because this is all mainly blue and pink, isn't it? I'm questioning that yellow trim on that one in this book. So I've pulled all these yellow and blues, which is weird. So anyway, there's that one. Those might go into that mustard one. Oh, I don't know. I really wanted to get that bird in there, but I'm not liking it now. Okay. So let's... look at that. If I put all that in there, crikey. That's a bit much. And then I still haven't put any of the bits. What are they called? Oh, you know, bits. I can't remember what they're called. Details, finer bits. I can't remember. Geez, my brain lately. Fair income. This bloody perimenopause. If you're going through it, or you've been through it, if you've been through it, I bow down to you. It's mental what it does to us. Fair income. These are other bits I wanted to put in that one. Look at these crocheted flowers. They came off a doily that disintegrated. So I've used one of those on another pouch I've done. I've got all these tiny little hexies cut to do little... I've done a couple. Not overly fussed on the colours though. Little hexy flowers. And I've started a little rug that I'm going to put in one. Where have I put that? On a coat hanger. I'm not sure whether to do a little quilted, like a little quilt in little hexies to put in it, or use that on part of a felt jacket like Kath Holden did and Nairi did one. I'm thinking about that as well. The brain, fair income. At least I'm thinking, I suppose. At least it hasn't completely gone on holidays. It did last week, I'll tell you what. I had a shocking week. This week, actually. Today, I feel good. I had run out of